Let's see. Yeah, I can still see it. Okay, hell yeah, I'm gonna go for it.
Okay.
America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. We have a guest again today. I talked to you guys about this last week, said we were going to have a guest. I've debated him before on Jubilee. He's came on my podcast before, but we have Matthew Finmore with us, Orlando's finest. I've debated him on TikTok multiple times. He creates content and does political videos as well. Matthew, if you want to introduce yourself real quick.
Hey everybody. Yep, just like you said, you've seen me before on this video, on his podcast. You've seen me all over the place. Please do ignore, by the way, because the view is a little bit different. Please ignore the background. We're doing a whole setup here and everything, so we're moving some stuff around. You can see it right now. We've got some wall panels up, setting up a new studio system and everything with my partner. But yeah, so this is nothing. Nothing is here. You don't see it. It's like the list. You don't know. It's not there. It's not there anymore.
It's good to see you again. It's good to talk to you. We've had a little bit of time to catch up, but not too much. But I want to catch up about all the different things happening politically. Obviously, I think we last talked mid-May or so, or end of May. So since then, a ton has changed. We have seen almost the majority of the Republican Party, or a overwhelming portion of the Republican Party, flip to either independence or questioning what's currently going on with the administration because of the Epstein stuff. We saw a lot of people upset about the Iran-Israel conflict after Trump campaigned on no new wars. We are now seeing, more things happening with immigration, but from the stuff that's happening in LA to all the media things we're seeing. I kind of want to get your take on stuff. I want to start with Israel and Iran. I want to see what you think about it, and then I'll give you my perspective, and then we could, talk about it, debate a little from there.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the craziest things was just because I was working at night and just minding my own P's and Q's, and one of the security guards that works at the place that I work at, he's like, "Hey, just to let you know, Israel just bombed Iran," and I said, "What?" And so, the initial response to that was just like, "Oh God, we better not get involved. I don't want the United States putting their toes into any of the situation whatsoever, because that kind of conflict is just terrifying to think about, right?" And so when it started to unravel and all of the things decided to happen, I was holding my breath for the longest time, because my thought process was, if we get into this situation with Iran, it's the potential of their allies getting involved in the region, even their allies over, around the other countries getting involved, and then even our own allies in that region being in trouble. So places like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, that was something that I was very concerned about. Now that there's potentially just quiet in the streets, it doesn't seem like it's still good, because one thing I noticed was that Iran, I think they either signed something now or they have it on the floor where they're like, we just are just going to ban the IAEA, period. Not even give them access to our nuclear enrichment programs or anything, which is very dangerous. But I think that what Trump did was, in my opinion, obviously a no. I don't want our armaments being used whatsoever by American
Do you think
forces.
the problem was just that we bombed them with the bunker busters, or did you also have a problem with us defending Israeli airspace as well?
I
I
the
know
way
it's a
that I
tricky question too.
Well, it's not necessarily a tricky question. It's just more of just one of those things where it's like, okay, if the kids are out to play and they both have sticks, I'm gonna let them do that, and then the only time I'm gonna get involved is if blood figuratively is being shed. So the fact that they're both fighting each other, it's like, okay, well, you either we don't touch this or we just say, hey, stop. But because it was Israel's starting of the whole thing, we should have told Israel, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is not something that we want in the region. This is not something we should be having in the region. And it's just more of just diplomacy is number one for me. It's like, we got to talk this out. We got to make deals. We got to make contracts and plans. I'm not for what he did with the bunker busters. I'm definitely not for protecting an airspace just because these two countries are fighting each other. I don't know why we're getting involved with that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that last part. I mean, I am one of the I'm focused on domestic issues more than anything always. Do not It's not I don't care about foreign issues. I do care about them and I think they are important. But foreign issues that don't involve the United States, I see why are we involved in them? Why is our money being spent on them is my main issue with it. And I think Israel is one of the countries that takes a lot of our money, a lot of our resources, and is constantly dragging us into conflicts that the United States doesn't seem to need to be involved in. And this was just another one of them. And I personally don't even think it was about nukes. I think it was about regime change. I actually think this war, and I predicted this on my show, I could be wrong, we'll see, but I've predicted this war is actually far from over, and that this war, like I said, is about regime change, because my take on it was Israel, and they knew this, they were never able to destroy Iran's nuclear facility. If their entire goal was to destroy Iran's nuclear facility, they would need the United States bunker buster bombs. They are the only bombs in the world that would be able to penetrate Fordow, Natanz, and I forget the other one. But it would be the only way possible for them to do that. We're the only country in existence who has the capability to destroy something like that. So when they made the decision to undermine the United States by bombing Iran that night, in my mind, I don't think Trump knew about it at all. And Trump the next day had to make a decision. Does he show strength and say, this was us and Israel together, or does he call out our biggest ally against, the lobbyist wishes, because he took hundreds of millions from Miriam Adelson, who is an Israeli lobbyist. He took hundreds of millions from other Israeli lobbyists. And I think this is where we see lobbying impacting politics, where we see something Trump probably didn't want. I don't think he wanted the bomb to go on, I don't think he wanted the United States to get involved, but I think Israel kind of forced his hand, and the lobbying of the hundreds of millions of dollars, they kind of just cashed that check in, is kind of my opinion on why it happened. I think J.D. Vance is also negatively involved as well. I used to love J.D. Vance. I've come to actually not despise, but pretty close. I think he is pretty corrupted. I think Trump is less corrupted than people are saying. I think most of the things are people in Trump's cabinet, but Trump definitely does seem to be fairly corrupted with the Epstein stuff. But I think the Israel thing was very avoidable by the United States just for once laying their foot down and saying, okay, Israel, we're not going to defend you. This one's on you. Because we've defended Israel time and time again, and it just can't stay like that.
Well, it was interesting because I was talking to a lot of people that are on this, this side of the aisle and stuff, and we were looking at a lot of different pieces of information about what kind of transpired, and a lot of people were saying that if the United States did not get involved, then Iran actually would have had a better shot of either defeating Israel or stopping Israel from doing what they were doing. They were basically going through the air defense systems with a lot of their missiles because they were just like supersonic or subsonic speeds, just like too fast for the defense system to even do anything.
You want to know how they were able to do it?
How?
Little quick tip, or a quick inside thing. It's something that's never been done before too, but because of social media, one of the ways I knew about the bombs was I was randomly watching a live streamer, and I randomly saw an Iranian live streamer streaming the bombs from Israel even before the news reported it. So I saw it about 10 minutes before the news even reported it, just on an Iranian live stream off some guy's phone. But on both sides, Israel and Iran, they were looking at people's live streams and looking at people's videos on social media of where their bombs were hitting to then readjust their targeting based off of where those hit in the video. So they were watching, like Iranian leaders were watching Israeli citizens' videos to redirect where their missiles would go based off of where the others would hit in the videos.
Wow.
Which was an insane way to think about how war is, evolving.
I was gonna say because even Ukraine, like they're using drones, like they're using little tiny drones and just flying them on top of
just
their
suicide
jets
bombing,
and just blowing them up. It's so crazy like how war has transformed over the past couple of years, and they were using spy warfare in Ukraine, setting up all of these different trucks with all these different storage containers and just popping the tops off and just letting them fly to these different bases.
Well,
It's so
Israel set up a
crazy.
spy thing too. Israel set up in Iran 2 years before, and they were planning that attack for years. They infiltrated not obviously the entire country of Israel, but a set of Mossad and a set of their soldiers infiltrated themselves into Iranian society for years. They essentially built up these camps on farms that were isolated because Iran's a very large piece of land. But they had these camps, and essentially they launched the initial attack from within Iran. They were able to send off drones and missiles from within Iran, and then beyond that they were also able to deter a lot of Iran's initial attacks from within the country itself because of that. So
Jesus.
it's one of the reasons that not that we're going to dive into this, but one of the reasons that I've talked a lot about, like, the Chinese Communist Party's own farmland in the United States. Florida took a step to ban it. Texas just banned it. And I think Donald Trump's making a move to ban it on the federal level. But the Chinese Communist Party strategically owns a lot of farmland placed around our military bases in the United States. And after something like that happens, even though it's in the Middle East, it's just scary to think that it could happen in the United States if we were ever to go to war with China.
Yeah, I would say that's a little bit, scary. I'm gonna look into that a little bit more because that sounds kind of nuts.
You
But
should watch Dr. Phil's take on it. He does a really good thing on it.
oh wow.
Yeah.
I will say, like, living in Iraq and living in Jordan, like, seeing those things fly over your head, like, that just sounds absolutely nuts. But yeah, I think that the issue right now is that we're just providing too much support to this one country just because they're in that region. It's like, why would you want to support a country like that when we have other countries in that region that have, one, a lot more allyship and a lot more connections within that region to provide more diplomacy, and two, more, I guess, revenue, because a lot of the money that is getting to Israel is coming from us. So to basically give them money and then have them give money back to us, to our lobbyists, like, it's absolutely grotesque. And I think that you would agree that, like, a lot of the money that's in our politics should just be absolutely removed. Like, we shouldn't have
Lobbying
in the
is
country.
just legal bribery. I
Yeah.
I love debating conservatives almost more than I like debating liberals because I disagree with them on a lot of things. And, like, a lot of conservatives, they'll never speak out against lobbying. They'll never speak out against APEC specifically, which I find to be one of the most corrupt lobbyists. They have problems speaking out against these certain things because, like, the neocons and there's a certain set of, like, did you watch the interview with Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz?
Oh God. I
Like, there are people who just defend that. And
I'm
it's like,
stunned.
what the fuck are you defending? It's like,
Yeah,
how are you
I-
like,
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, holy shit. Like, I never thought that in this moment I would agree with Tucker in this shit, because, like, Ted Cruz looked like a fucking lapdog. Like, he looked like he was basically begging for Israel to give him money at that point in that interview. It was absolutely insane. It's like, why are you supporting a country? Like, it's my favorite thing, and this is the reason as to why someone like Zoran Mamdani won his primary, was because every single one of those Democrats were asked, hey, like, when
The
you become
debate.
the mayor, what's the first country that you're going to visit? And they all said Israel, and he's like, I'm going to stay in New York. Why the
Yeah.
fuck would I go to Israel? Because it's
I
like,
hate that guy, but I've talked about that same thing on my show where I said, I was like, it's clearly obvious why he won. He's the only one who gave a correct answer in the debate. He's the only one who gave an answer that actually speaks to the American people. You're the mayor of
Right.
New York, not the fucking mayor of Tel Aviv. Like,
Right.
like,
Exactly.
what are you doing?
Exactly. Like, I don't know much of Zoran. I'm glad that he got to his position where he did, because I didn't think that Andrew Cuomo would have done anything. He would have done the
I
exact
don't
same
like
thing that he's
Cuomo
been doing.
either.
I don't like Cuomo. I think that what he did to New York during his time frame was absolutely horrendous. But, like, Zoran at least gave, like you said, he gave the correct answer, which is what every single person should be giving when you're here in the United States as a mayor or a senator. You should be wanting to protect the United States, and you want to be supporting your constituents. I don't know why you'd want to go to places like Israel or even Saudi Arabia or Qatar when the United States has issues here. We should be taking care of the people here, not going to these other places.
So I want to get your take on if you agree with this or not, because this is something that happened on the conservative side, but it seems bipartisanly people are split, and it doesn't matter what side you're on. It's just kind of a random thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's obviously very Republican, outspoken Trump supporter, American nationalist. She is the House representative from Georgia. She proposed a bill that would strip $500 million from Israel's funding that goes to their missile defense systems and use that money every year that we would send them to then put down towards our debt. And 422 people in the House voted to not do it and to give the money to Israel, while only 6 people voted to put the money down towards our debt. Which side would you have voted on that?
On cutting the funding to Israel.
It would have been only cutting 500 million out of the 3.8 billion, but it's still a portion of the money.
I would say it's still that's like what one.
And
out
the
of
money
six?
we cut would have gone straight down to paying down our debt. Only
Yeah,
six
I
people
would.
voted to pay down our debt. It's kind of like crazy to me.
That is insane. The fact that they're just so stuck in their ways that they wouldn't even support trying to cut down our deficit, like that is crazy. I will say that, like, you know, I don't fully agree with MTG on a lot of things, but you know
She's
what?
a little
But
out there. I don't either.
She's very much out there, and sometimes she doesn't know, like when she's in these committees, she doesn't know fully about this situation and stuff sometimes. But this, it's a start. It's the same thing with like setting up a moratorium on the border, like part of that, border bill that was with Langford. Like, at least that's something. It's starting somewhere. It doesn't solve the problem, but it's still something. So I think for her, like having that 500 million, at least like cutting that's taking off a leg. That's
Yeah,
literally
I
taking
mean,
off a
I'm
leg.
for cutting off I'm a no foreign aid guy personally, and it's not even Israel specific, but Israel is the majority of our foreign aid. I don't think that we should be giving. I mean, it's hard to say $0, but at least for the time being, I'm a $0 of foreign aid kind of guy until we can fix the problems domestically. And I don't even mean like the problems that they talk about in the media. And that's one of my biggest problems with conservatives is I could argue with Trump supporters all day long about the economy and things like that, because people will say that the economy's good, but you're what are you, 32? You said.
33 actually. I just turned it 2 months ago.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We have birthdays right next to each other. But happy
Yeah.
birthday. But yeah,
Thanks,
like
man, you too.
you know what I mean. It's like people our age and under, like buying a house is not what it used to be. It doesn't cost $12 and 2 chickens anymore. Like it's you got to like dedicate every dollar you make for years and years on end, with almost never going out to eat, and like working a job making like $120,000 to even be able to afford a home. And that's
Yeah.
the stuff I talk about when it's like the economy. It's like we're allowing lobbying to completely decimate this country. We're allowing all our money to be sent overseas through foreign aid. We're allowing the lobbying with BlackRock to purchase all the single family homes. We're allowing pretty much what was the American dream, and not even like the American dream in the immigrant sense, but American dream in the sense of just being able to like have a family and a home and like being able to live happily. Like that's just crumbling in front of our eyes, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, I fully agree, and I'm actually like looking at this right now, and the fact that only it looks like, oh my God, there's only four Democrats that said yes to this. Of the four
Yeah.
Democrats, it's Al Green, it's Lee, it's
Elon Omar and
Omar,
someone
and
else.
Rashid Tlaib, and it's
Elon
like,
Omar just doesn't like Israel. That's her beef. But
I
no.
mean,
Well,
she,
whatever her reasoning was, she was on the right side of the vote. The vote should have
he,
been 422 to 6 the other way, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's one of those things where it's like, yes, like just like Marjorie Taylor Greene, sometimes having extreme members of Congress or members of the House, like they exist, of course. I'm not going to deny that, but like that just speaks volumes to the people that have the money with Israel, and like that just speaks to how much lobbying, just period, is in this situation too. Like, I'm gonna look at a little bit more
APEC
into
funds
this,
300,
but
like it's between 340 and 365 of the U.S. House representatives, and there's under 430 of them. And then that's just APEC specifically. There's also other foreign lobbyists, but the problem I have with APEC, and they brought this up in the Tucker interview, is that APEC is a foreign lobbyist, but they're not registered as a foreign lobbyist. They're registered as national lobbyists, but they're not. They're lobbying for Israel directly, and it's crazy how this part of it still ties into the Epstein part. Like, we'll transition this pretty smoothly into Epstein because of that, but it's like I think that's the reason we're not getting the, beyond a few other things, I think one of the reasons we're not getting the Epstein files is lobbying. I think it's because of corrupt back-made deals and the fact that they probably don't even exist in America. My
Yeah,
take on the Epstein thing, I'll give you my take first and then I want to see what you think. But my take is that the files never existed in America because they were Mossad owned. That there was information about them in America because US intelligence and Mossad probably do work together, but I think that Mossad ran the entire operation. The overwhelming evidence for me is the fact that Epstein lived with Ehud Barak, who was the chief of Mossad. His girlfriend was Ghislaine Maxwell, whose dad was Mossad. They also started a Israeli spy firm called Carbine 911, and guess who he started that with? Peter Thiel and Ehud Barak. Who is Peter Thiel best fucking friends with? J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance hated Donald Trump until about 3 years ago or 2 years ago when all of a sudden Peter Thiel convinced him to like Donald Trump. Then Peter
hmm
Thiel gets placed in the Trump cabinet. Then we see Israel get more funding. We see all the Epstein stuff get buried. And while I do think Trump is, with the possible new evidence, I do think it is very possible he's guilty. I think the reason we're seeing the burial is J.D. Vance and Thiel's connection over Trump. I think
yeah.
Trump probably is part of it, but I think Pam Bondi and Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance are the three corrupt ones right now, in my
Well,
opinion.
well, it's interesting because they want to get rid of the rider of this dark horse. Like Peter Thiel is working with AI and trying to make it basically known that he wants AI to control everything at this point. Like that's also something that's extremely dangerous. And the fact
Yeah.
that he is supportive of JD Vance and putting all of this money and funneling into the vice president, I think that the not to sound conspiracy theorist or anything here, but if I were to
No,
make all
shoot
of
it
the
out.
dots, if I were to make all the dots here and everything, they're trying to get Trump the fuck out, so they put Vance in to forward Thiel's agenda and to forward what you're talking about, Israel's situation and all that other stuff. And for me, because I love talking about this, if you're not guilty of a crime, then you should just show the evidence. But Trump's hands are all over this, and he knows that the second that he pulls this out, it's going to be game over. So you either A, lie and say that you have the files, but you don't actually have the files, basically hiding away the fact that you've done those things, or B, you show it and then people see that you have done those things and you get kicked out. Either way, they're going to kick you out. So you have either one or two options. Either you show them that you're a this forward thinking guy, that you want honesty and integrity, so you put the files out and you deal with the backlash at that point, or you just continue to do what you're doing and show to people like myself or to others that either you're guilty or you just weaponized the victims for your personal gain. Like that's just not only corrupt, but it's also just disgusting. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that he's going to get away from this anytime soon, and this is going to destroy the Republicans in the
Oh,
midterms.
yeah.
They're
Republicans
gone.
lost the midterms already.
They're
I thought
gone.
we lost the midterms the second we dropped the bomb on Israel, but this solidified that for sure. They have no chance of redeeming it. And I think I don't think you're wrong. I do think there could be a back end play to get Trump out of office. I could see that happening. I don't think it's going to be from the people we would think. I think like there's going to be a push from the Democrats, and you're going to see less resistance from the Republicans than you'd normally see. Like I think like AOC or someone like that would probably be the one to file the impeachment, but then you might see people who don't push against it, and I think that's when we'll be able to decipher who is the deep state, who's not, who is trying to like Trump campaign. One of the reasons I liked Trump is because Trump wasn't a Republican. I think Republicans and Democrats are both fairly corrupted. I'm not even talking about like the citizens, I mean the parties themselves. Whether it's Republicans or Democrats, if you look at the history, Clinton, Obama, Bush, Trump, Biden, every one of them have raised the debt ceiling. Every one of them has taken money from foreign lobbyists. Every one of them has made decisions that do not directly benefit the American people, but benefit other people over the American people and devalues our dollar. So I think the entire, and it comes back to lobbying, but the entire establishment is so corrupted. And if we can't remove lobbying, we'll never get to a place where we could have honesty in this country, because we'll always have these back end deals being made where it's just trying to keep things from the American people. And this was the biggest fuck up of all time. I mean, this was the like when Trump came on social or True Social and said, everyone's weak who's still talking about this. If you're my supporter, I don't even want you as my supporter. Like, that was such a wake up call to a lot of Americans, because people went to, like, whether people agree with it or not, people went to jail. Like January 6th, people went to jail for Donald Trump. They lost their rights to vote because they became felons. They lost their right to own guns, travel outside the country, certain things like that. People got fired. Some people got fired for their overwhelming MAGA support on social media. People had various different things. And for people to go through all that, for one guy, for him to then say, I don't even want you as my supporter, it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what is going on?
It's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
It's basically dangling a carrot in front of you and saying, I have it here, and then having it disappear. Like, he, not to be disrespectful or anything, but he used
No,
you
you're
guys.
good.
He 100% used you guys to get to what he wanted to. And it's so blatantly obvious at this point that, like, the only thing that he can do to even come close to gaining people's trust back is releasing all of the files, not releasing grand jury information, not releasing some pictures or some things, not trying to show just phase one. That was crazy.
The phase one binders was fucked up. That was more fucked up because of how they took credible news source names and they destroyed their reputations.
Yeah, exactly. Like, their reputations are absolutely fucked. And when you have people like, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, you have people like Nick Fuentes saying, fuck you, because you're not even releasing the files.
It's crazy, you know who Nick Fuentes is.
That guy's fucking insane. But you know what? I agree with him, at least on this point. Why are you not releasing the files unless you're hiding something? It's one thing to be like, hey, we don't have the files. We lied about it. That's gonna ruin you. But you know what? At least you're honest about it. But we know that you have the files. We know that exists. We know that there's 3 minutes roughly of video evidence being completely removed. I don't understand how you can just think that removing 3 minutes is going to help you at all. It's not going to help you. And so because of that, it's like, okay, so now you're just making it even worse. You're digging yourself a grave that you cannot get yourself out of. But I mean,
yeah,
listen.
I even, on this show, I've been, over the last week, joking around saying, I've been calling Jeffrey Epstein Sir King Jeffrey Epstein, because for years I've been peddling the conspiracy theories that this guy was a sex trafficker and that he was killed. But I feel bad because, he sadly killed himself before he realized the whole thing was a hoax.
Yeah. And that was the thing, right? Is that everybody on the both the left and the right were making the joke of Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. He didn't kill himself, but now it's a potential real thing. He didn't kill himself because of just the fact that Trump does not want to show, hey, these are the files. He knows that his fingerprints are all over it. He knows that he's got the smoking gun, but he's just afraid to come to the truth.
Donald Trump was the one in office when Epstein was arrested. Donald Trump was in office when Epstein was killed. Donald Trump was in office when the files were buried. And the biggest argument I see coming from the Republican side now, which in theory holds a little bit of water, but does not make that much sense, is why didn't Biden release the files? I hear that repetitively being chirped on social media. And it's because it's not that Biden's guilty. I have overwhelming belief that Bill Clinton is, and Bill Clinton and Hillary practically own the Democratic Party in terms of funding. And I think, like I said, I think the entire system is corrupt of Republicans and Democrats, and I think that Republicans and Democrats probably made a back-end deal together to not release this information. They know Bill Clinton's involved. They know there's a chance Donald Trump's involved, or even if it's not Trump, there's higher ups. But I do think there's a good possibility that Trump is involved. One of the things is, in 2016, when Donald Trump was first running, we heard a million different allegations against Trump about a million different things. He molested this woman, he raped this woman, he worked with Russia on this, he did this. there was every week there was a different story ragging on Trump. And it almost became to Republicans like the boy who cried wolf, where it was like, okay, I'm just going to tune it all out. None of this matters because they're just trying to tear a guy down. Like, if you can't say a single nice thing about him, it's like, okay, fuck you guys. And then people drowned all that out. But one of the things that was drowned out was the fact that him and Epstein were accused of rape in 2015, and the information was buried, and the case was shut down because the woman felt threatened. And it's something that I personally wrote off, and I feel bad about writing off, but it was, again, just like a boy who cried wolf thing, where it's like there was so many different allegations coming out, and it's hard to believe that any of them are true when there's 1,000 of them. So it was just kind of one of those things. But I think that's the realization a lot of different Trump supporters or former Trump supporters are having now, where it's like, okay, what is going on within this establishment?
Well, especially now because it's like if you've got these pieces of information that are coming out, right? Let's go off of different like allegations and accusations from the first administration. Like if this specific thing of Epstein is now becoming legitimate, what about these other things that they've said that they accuse Trump of? Like, are these now true, or is everything else now just like what if they were throwing the truth at you? And that's something that is a really hard pill to swallow. And to go with what you're talking about with Biden, it's like, yeah, I could definitely see like the Clinton situation. I also kind of want to make the argument that it could just be something as simple as he didn't run on it. Like if like when you go,
they never talked about it. That was also
never
another
talked
thing.
about
It's
it.
like it's hard to blame them for something they didn't promise.
Right. So, because like when you run for class president in like high school, right? Like you look at one person that says, "I'm going to get everybody free lunch every single day on day one," or you look at the other person and they're like, "I want to find ways to provide better education for people that have special needs or people that are struggling in this specific class," right? So like you look at those two specific things, you can't blame this person that wants to do better with classes for not having free lunch. He didn't run on it. They never ran on it. So it's because of the fact that he just kept pushing it for like what 10 plus years. He's like, we're gonna make sure we get to the bottom of this. This is what we want.
That's
this is
6
what we
years
need.
since 2019,
Or 6 years,
since he was
6 years.
killed. Yeah, it was pretty much since
yeah.
Trump got out of office. Since his first term ended, because it happened at the back end of his first term. It happened in 2019, and then the election, if I'm correct, was 2020. And then, like right after Joe Biden got elected, it went right into January 6th. And then as January 6th, like, I think his way to transition out of that in the media was pushing the Epstein things a little, which it's not like bad he pushed that. Like, it's still as relevant as ever. You see it now. It's like the people who, like me, like I want mass deportations. I want a majority of the things Trump is doing. But overall, I would trade almost everything else for the release of this information, because the release of this information isn't just about Jeffrey Epstein. It's about everything we've known our whole lives, that the entire system is corrupted and it's ran by people that we can't see. It's that our system will go head over heels to protect people for very corrupt reasons, but they won't provide for the American people. And it's right in front of our eyes now. They are literally protecting, a pedophile, which is the worst kind of person, over giving transparency to the American people. And it feels so much bigger than just Epstein. It feels like it's exposing the system is what this would do. Like exposing these files would show that there is a system that does this.
Yeah. Would you then, because this is where it gets, I wanted to ask this because I think it's really interesting. If you have somebody in Florida that is running for the midterms and they support Trump still, even though all of these files are coming out, would you then turn the cheek and then go to the other side then, just for the midterms specifically?
For the midterm specifically, I'm going to change the way I voted than I've ever previously voted. I am probably not going to vote for a lot of the things. I will vote for some of them, but I will refuse to vote for any candidate that takes any kind of lobbying money whatsoever. So, and that's going to be my new take pretty much forever. Unless it's from very specific groups that I would approve of, which is slim and none, I would, any single politician that takes money from lobbying, I think, is a problem. Like, I was going to say this earlier, but I forgot. But, like, one of the things I loved about Trump was 2016, he took no lobbying money. Like, he was self-funded. And then even 2020 in that campaign, self-funded. 2024, he couldn't do that anymore. He'd lost so much money in lawsuits and being president that he had to take money. And he took a few $100 million from Elon Musk, which could definitely be a problem at some point, but I don't like. I personally trust Elon more than I trust Trump in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
Although I'd never want him in I wouldn't want him to be president or anything. But he also took 100 million from Miriam Adelson, which is a Israeli donor, and that's one of the reasons I think we're seeing the Iran Israel stuff. And he took hundreds of millions more from other donors, but a lot of Israeli donors. And I think that is why we're seeing a completely different Trump than people envisioned. I think Trump's intentions kind of were pure, but I do think his lobbying made it impossible to do it that way, and his cabinet also didn't help with, like I said, the J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel thing. But I don't think Trump is innocent. I do think there is a chance that Trump is guilty in this Epstein thing.
Yeah, 100%. That's really interesting that you mentioned that. Like, you're not going to vote for anybody that has like these kind of crazy big ties with different lobbies. I think that's fucking awesome. I think
Yeah, like unless
that's
it's
a
like
great way to
very
start.
specific ones, like unless it's like the Wounded Warriors Project gives money to some politicians, and I don't have a lot of problems with them. Certain like military organizations, I don't have a problem with, but I don't want the military. Like there are certain ones that like push for funding in the military, and there are certain ones who don't, and it's like I don't think we should be cutting our funding necessarily across the military, but I don't think we should be overfunding them in the way we do because we can't track the money, and until we're able to track the money, I think we need to cut the funding a little bit because
Are you sure that you're conservative? Like, are you
I'm more
positive?
American nationalist. Like I've realized that more over time. I like people say American nationalism's far right, but I like to say it's far middle because I think it's just a big agreement of all the things. Like I push back against a lot against conservatives, and I definitely push back against an insane amount with Democrats. But I find most of my positions to be just rooted in what is best for the American people, what is going to bring value back to our dollar and manufacturing back to our country and make us stronger, and what is going to stop the corruption within our government. Like most of my
Wow.
decisions on politics are rooted in, based off of those things now.
Well, I'm glad that we have a concession, especially with lobbying our government from foreign adversaries or even just foreign allies with
I think
these
lobbying in
different
general, I don't
pacts.
even think national lobbyists should exist.
Right. Like
Like I
like
don't
I
think
I
like
love that.
Alfred Morris cigarette companies should be able to lobby. I don't think the alcohol companies. I don't even think the gun companies should be able to lobby. But I also don't think we should be changing the laws as well.
Do you think that Citizens United is like a problem?
Which lobby group is that? Let me look it up.
No, well, Citizens United was a state. I think it was specifically like a court order that basically humanized corporations and companies. So basically, it gave them kind of like a vote, so to speak. So that's why they're able to do a lot of. From what I've read, I think it's from that's what happened with a lot of like the lobbying and stuff. So if you look up Citizens United, this happened. When did this happen? This
Oh,
happened a
was it the
long time
thing
ago.
it let me look. Was it the thing where they got people together to like criticize politicians as a group kind of, or am I
I,
reading the
th-
wrong thing?
it might be something different because this happened in 2010. So basically, let me pull this up. So, Citizens United is a landmark decision of the United States Supreme Court regarding campaign finance laws, in which the court found that laws restricting political spending of corporations and unions are inconsistent with the free speech clause of the First Amendment. The Supreme Court 5-4 ruling in favor of Citizens United sparked significant controversy, with some viewing it as a defense of American principles of free speech and a safeguard against government overreach, while others criticized it as it promotes corporate personhood and granting disproportionate political power in large corporations. So basically, it gave them the
It created
opportunity.
super PACs and stuff, right?
Bingo, bingo,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, I'm against that. Like, I'm against, like I said, the overwhelming majority of lobbying. I don't think it's rooted in American nationalist values. And, like, most of the thing, I actually have it here because I've been doing a book of the week and I did this as the book of the week. Most of the things I want for this country come from this and, like, various other American texts. But the Federalist Papers, it's 86 essays written by some of our founders and some other more important historical figures within the United States government, and it's all letters or all essays saying why the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and all our founding documents are meant to withstand time, tyranny, and all leadership. And I think the more we can get back to what our founders intended for the country, the better we could be in a lot of ways.
I
And
gotta
I
show you
think the
something
spending is one of the, yeah, show me anything.
because okay, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna be
You're
right
good.
back.
Take your time. While he's gone, I hope everyone's having a great day and enjoying the show. Oh, he's back. There we go. I was going
Oh
to
yeah, no.
monologue to the camera while you were gone.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Because it's funny that you mentioned the Federalist Papers because my girlfriend, she actually gave me the Constitution as a gift for my birthday.
Oh, there
But
you go. I got my
the
copy here
cool
too.
the cool thing about this Constitution book is that I don't know if you can see it. It has not just the introduction of everything. It has the Constitution. It has the amendments, the Articles of Association, the thoughts on government, the Declaration of Independence, the Virginia Plan, the Northwest Ordinance, the Articles of Confederation, and then George Washington's first inaugural address and farewell address. This has literally the creation of the United States in
I'm
my
going to send
hand.
you a copy of this because it's got that and it's got a couple other things too. Like it's got a bunch of stuff on like women's suffrage, a bunch of stuff on like how the voting process actually started. But
Shut the
this
fuck
thing
up,
is like
really?
the American Bible. Like it's literally like every document America ever produced. The pages are as thin as Bible pages, and I mean this thing is
That's
it's top tier.
crazy.
I'll send you a copy of it. It's great.
I
But yeah,
honestly,
I
I
mean the more I've
wow.
the more I've like learned about American history, and I've always known a good amount. I've always been interested in history, but I've definitely learned more as I've been doing my show and just learning about politics in general. But yeah, the more I realize that we're very far from what our founders actually intended, and I do think Trump, in a lot of ways, is a good stepping stone for it. I think his initial 2016 inaugural speech, even his 2024 inaugural speech, were really rooted in American nationalism. The idea of like, we're not going to allow foreign governments and adversaries to control American politics. We're not going to allow American companies to export all their labor. Like, one of my things I debate with conservatives a lot is capitalism. And I'm not against capitalism. I'm far from socialist. But I am slightly against the free market in the sense of I do not think we need to be offshoring our labor. I actually think we need to be punishing companies who offshore labor. And it's not only for the reasons of bringing jobs back to America, even though that's my main reason. My other reason is I don't want slave labor to be supported. And I hate that, like, I own an iPhone, I own an iPad, I own a Mac computer. All of those were made by slaves who probably wanted to, off themselves at some point, which is very sad to think about.
Basically they were paying $2 a day a week at that point. Like if you
Yeah.
because it's basic, like you said, it's indentured servitude, it's slavery at that point. This okay, I this is such an eye-opening thing because we have agreements on a lot of different things, right? Like I believe in the
Yeah.
Second Amendment. I fully believe that you have the
I
right to
don't think
defend
we'll
yourself
agree on the
and
way to
everything.
get to all the things, but I think we'll agree
Right.
on the problems themselves.
Exactly, and I think that that's such an incredible thing. The fact that you that you support citizens like United being removed, I think that's also incredible because that's going to help get rid of this lobbying issue that we have in the United States. That's why they're able to do so many different things with their money. When the reality is, it's destroying the American dream that you're talking about right now. This that wow, I'm
Yeah, I
over
mean,
the
I
moon.
think if we could bring value back to the dollar, the American dream is very like if you just look at the value of the dollar itself and like that's the main metric, you could see that we're a country in decline. We're an empire in decline because of it. Our dollar is the purchasing power of a dollar is now like 7 cents from 80 years ago or like 50
Mhm.
years ago or something like that. It's just like in the Great Depression, I use this example in my show a lot. In the Great Depression, people were poor and everyone knew that, but people who had 5 to 10 cents to their name, they could get through the day because 5 cents could get you a haircut, 5 cents could get you a meal, 10 cents could get you through the entire day. And while it wasn't a lot of money, your money went far. And nowadays, it doesn't matter if you have a lot of money, your money does not go far. You need, I think, like a net worth of like $140,000 in America to purchase a single family like shit starter home. And not to say they're like
Yeah.
shit homes, but it's like relative to what you would move up to or what our grandparents or great grandparents would have gotten. It's just they talk about the buzzwords a lot in politics. Like I've said, they talk about GDP, they talk about job growth, but they don't talk about where the job growth comes from. Like we'll probably disagree on this point, but like when they talk about job growth, they don't factor in like American job growth versus imported job growth. I look at the American job growth and it's not growing that much. American born citizens are not getting jobs at the rates they should be, in my opinion. I think we're importing way too many HB1 visas to sustain like we're not going to be able to give everyone these jobs if we keep importing people from other countries when it's not necessary. I think we need, like, they cut him saying this off of the show, but he said, like, we need a pause on immigration until we can fix the problems domestically. And that's kind of my take. It's like we need to pause the legal visas we're giving out for work. Just because people are willing to work doesn't mean we don't have Americans who are also willing to work that just wouldn't accept the same wage that an HB1 visa or an illegal immigrant would have. And I think we need to fix those issues along with a lot of others, but I think that's probably one of the places where we'd like disagree on things and like the solution, I'd imagine, but I do think it's good that we agree on a lot of these things.
Yeah, well, I can sympathize. I can sympathize with that. I can understand that, like, getting the American people to get the opportunities that they're looking for, or getting a better future by getting them, these different types of jobs. I think is a very strong thing that you're making. The HB1 visas. I can understand that for sure, especially because, like you said, a lot of Americans aren't working to an extent in those specific fields. It's just trying to find ways to make those fields palpable, or like appetizing. So, like, for example, construction work, right? Like working on rooftops every single day, putting in shingles. Like, yeah, that is a job that a lot of Americans don't want to do. Maybe we should be finding ways to give them incentives as to why you should be doing this,
Pay them a little more, pay them some American wages. That's what we need.
Exactly. Give them
the
American
way to
wages,
do that
absolutely.
is to make the dollar worth more. And how do you make the dollar worth more? You stop our government from printing more dollars. Why does our government print too many dollars? Because we send most of our money overseas. If we could stop sending our money overseas and stop funding lobbyists, we could bring value back to the dollar and restore that. And it all comes back to just like the corrupt politicians lobbying and the money we send overseas, in my opinion. I think that's the root cause of the entire thing. There's probably some other things that I can't even see because, like I said, there's a lot of back-end deals that are made, but I think that's the root cause of it. And I don't know, I think like the point I just made, like that would be like a big American nationalist point. And when they said, like, we were talking about it before we started the film, but we could start talk about it now. The Jubilee episode they just released today. I still got to watch it, and we'll try and get a reaction video to it, but like the far right guys on that, a lot of them can't make that point and explain it that way. Like they'll explain that point in just like a I don't want them in this country type deal. Versus for me, it's not really about the people themselves or like where they're coming from. It's more about the fact that I just want Americans to have jobs. I want Americans to be able to live the American dream we were promised when we were growing up. I want them to be able to afford a home and build a family. I want them to be able to start a business or whatever it is. And I think that's where I differ from a lot of the people who were on that episode, is a lot of them, it doesn't necessarily come from hate, but some of them it might, but it comes from a place of, I just don't want these people in my country. And for me, it's not as much as, it's not that, it's just, I just want Americans to succeed, and I want to put Americans over everyone else.
That and that I can understand for sure, especially because of what you're talking about. There's an interesting thing that I was looking up too, because you're talking about like money, printing money, lobbying, and things of that nature. Would you also be for what they call the Great Compression? Have you heard of that before?
No, I have not. Let me look it up.
So this, I believe, happened roughly in the 40s and 50s, mostly the 50s, where after a certain amount of money that someone gets in passive income, it was at that time it was like $100,000 or like $200,000 or something. That would be roughly like $5-10 million in this time. After that $10 millionth dollar, for people that have passive income, any dollar above that, it would be taxed at like 90% or some crazy number like that. So like it's a pretty extensive thing. It sounds kind of crazy, but for people that are like Bezos or even Musk, like this kind of that kind of thing helped basically turn around what happened in the 40s because of all the bonds that we paid out, all of the different things that we paid out for the wars. Not to say that would be like the ideal thing that I would think that could help, but something close to it where it's like, okay, you guys have this
like a tax pass your billionth dollar or something.
Right, because it's like you guys have like a crazy amount, like not you guys, but like these like billionaires and stuff have crazy amounts of money, but like if they paid a good amount of that back, it could help bring down things like the deficit. It could help bring back American jobs and stuff like that. What do you think? Or because
The
they could take
reason
that.
that wouldn't work is you would have to restructure the tax code, because even
Mhm.
if they the tax code is 80,000 pages, and it's 80,000 pages of how not to pay your taxes, not how to pay your taxes. It's all how to avoid it. That's the entire tax code. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, and these guys who have that money, they have the best lawyers and CPAs that exist. They have the best access in the world. So then they're not going to have to pay taxes unless you rewrit even if you said like you're going to have to pay 90% taxes on this, they'll write it off. They'll find a way to show no profit. They'll find a way, like, they will find a way around that unless we got rid of the tax code. So I think the tax code is the problem there, but I don't think that taxing is the right way. I think tariffs are a pretty strong way to do things. More fair trade agreements are. I think I'm not a big taxes guy.
Mhm.
I'm not oblivious to the fact that they are necessary in the current society we have. We don't live in the society that they used to have, where like they put a 2% tax on tea and we could revolt over that. Like, we don't live in that, but we are overly taxed. I think taxes should be a lot different. My tax take is I think we need 10% flat tax all around with no write-offs, and that in the short term would impact the lower income earners a little bit more. But if you were able to bring value back to the dollar, it wouldn't negatively impact anybody. That's kind of my take on it. We would need to bring value back to the dollar before we could implement something like that. But I don't think a tax to the like 90th or even like above 50, I think it's just absurd. I think that goes against what American values would be. I think if we're going to make money, it would need to be from, like I said, a tariff style system, or maybe a lower tax system, but with no write offs at all, like no tax code. Because if Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos had to pay 10 billion or 10% of their billions they made that year in, with no write-offs, it would be a substantial amount of money, and it would be overwhelming from what they pay now.
And it's just those, like, and those two are just one example. Like, imagine the other people that are here that have like hundreds of billions of dollars every single year. Like, it would be absolutely wild to just see
I
like
also
that
just don't
kind
think
of.
guys like that would necessarily. It's not that they wouldn't exist, but they wouldn't exist to their degree in a true American nationalist society. Like, in a true American nationalist society, they would never be as rich as they are, because they would all their workers would make a lot more, or at least all their American workers would make a lot more. They would not be able to, like, if they were manufacturing in other countries, doing things like that, they would be either penalized for it or some other form where the American government's getting money out of them because of it.
Mhm.
So it's like, while they would still be rich, it would never be to the degree that they are, because it just wouldn't be possible, because they would have to be giving out a lot more money.
So you're wanting it less to be like low income, high income, and you want it to equal out a little bit more, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Not not too much, but
I'm not
like.
100% for the free market. Like I said, I think the free market actually works against the American consumer in a lot of ways, because you create these knockoffs, you support slave labor, you create all this competition against American business when we don't need it. Like, I don't think we should be. There are very few products that are not made in America that I think we should actually sell in America. I think there's very few products. Like, there's obviously some things we just don't have the raw materials in America for. But when it comes to like buying a plate or a cup or a table, or like, your water or a book or whatever the fuck, all these things can be made in America, but they're not. And that's my
Mm,
problem. Is I want
okay.
more domestic manufacturing. I don't want companies to be able to, like, I don't mean tariffs in the way of like companies can manufacture and then they have to pay a tariff to import their products to sell them in the United States. Like, that's not allowed in my American national society at all. Like, that's not even if they are doing that, they're paying fines that are greater than what they'd make in that sense. I want them to manufacture their goods in the United States, pay American laborers American wages, and sell their products for possibly a little bit more money, but in the same time will bring value back to the dollar, so your dollar can go further and achieve more.
Interesting.
It's almost my what I pitch is almost a complete overhaul of the government versus changing the actual system itself. But it's a far fetched out there idea, but it is something that I think our founders would want.
This means I'm just gonna I need to read more on the tax code. I know Jack Dilly
You'll never be
shit
able to
about the
fit. Yeah,
tax code.
it's
That thing
it's
fucking is
so
insane.
boring.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
read like
It's
25 pages, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking die.
Yeah, reading all these excerpts too from like these bills and stuff, it's like, okay, I'm starting to understand it, but in the beginning it was like, God fucking damn it, it's so boring. But yeah, dude, when we come back on Wednesday and watch the Jubilee video, I love to pick everybody's brains on this video and just see what's happening. I'm not gonna watch it just specifically because of that, because I
Yeah,
want to see
I'm gonna
what
wait
your
too. I'll
reaction
wait
is
till
too.
Wednesday because I want a pure reaction to this thing too.
Yeah,
Because like I said, I kind
and
of know one of the guys on it too. I don't know him, but I've talked to him through social media a couple times, and
like sort of kind of.
I don't know. I'm curious how they're gonna edit this.
Yeah. Speaking of before things are finalized, because you were talking about having somebody that's grassroots, you want somebody that's not being lobbied here in the state of Florida, as an example, or just in general. One person that I'm actually going to talk to on Tuesday, his name is Louis Davia. He's going to be running for House of District 48. His TikTok handle is Louis Davila for FL House. So it's his last name is Davila. So he looks like,
Yeah, I
I think
just
it's,
found him. I found his
yeah.
website.
So I'm gonna be talking with him on Tuesday and trying to like pick his mind and stuff and see a little bit more on who he is as a part, in his mindset. But if you're looking for somebody that is grassroots, yes, he is a Democrat, but like he could be somebody that you could talk to and kind of pick pick his brain and see like what he wants to do for that specific district or that for the state of Florida. And honestly, I think that that it was crazy how like he came up out of nowhere. I was actually debating somebody and like he just came up out of the blue and I was like, oh hey, look at that. Like I'd love to talk to you a little bit more. So I'll let you know
Yeah,
what
no,
he
I'm looking at his
what he is.
website now. I'm gonna read into him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll talk to any political candidate, see what their views are, and I'm like I said, the lobbying is one of my biggest issues now, just because I've realized that, like someone like, I think Trump was the biggest eye opener for a lot of people, especially people like me, who it's Trump for a long time seemed untouchable to lobbying. Like I said, he was a self-funded billionaire. It didn't seem like money could influence that guy at all. He even forfeited his salary. But then to go
Mm-hmm.
from that to taking hundreds of millions of dollars, almost $1 billion from different lobbyists, including Israeli lobbyists, and then we're seeing them like cash those checks in real time by us bombing Iran for them and burying the Epstein information. Because, like I said, I am a true believer that that is Mossad. It was a Mossad operation.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I cannot wait to hear what John and even
I'm gonna
Sydney
text
say.
John right after this, and I'm gonna ask John if he's down for Wednesday. I'm sure he will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, 100%. Perfectly okay with just sitting here all day on Wednesday and just like watching the video and talking and shooting the shit. I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll do it. We could even do it live if you want. We could do a
Dude,
live stream.
absolutely.
Yeah,
If you want to, yeah, of course.
I've been
I
doing
can.
live a lot.
I haven't gone live in so long. You know what? I'm gonna do that
It's
too.
nerve wracking.
I'll go back. I'll go back on Twitch and we'll just do it on. We'll just fuck it. We'll do it live.
Is there a
We'll
way
just
to
do it
do
live.
like collaborations on like I do live on Twitch and I do it on Rumble just through like an RTPM or whatever the fuck it's called.
They
I'm sure there's a
just
way we could like link our things to it.
Yeah, they just started a thing now where you're able to do it with multiple people. So if you want to do that, I'm 100% down for that.
Yeah, that'll be very fun. Yeah, I'll text John too, not to watch the. John's definitely still sleeping right now. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna text him not to watch it until Wednesday so we can get a future reactions. Cause yeah, I think that would be a really good one. I think all of us generally agree on a lot of the things. We're not going to agree on the end solution, but we're gonna agree on the diagnosis for the most part, though. I think we're all
Yeah.
pretty level-headed in the sense of like, I don't know, as much as you don't like Trump, I don't think you're very unreasonable compared to like some people who just say like, oh, literally everything in the world that guy touches is bad, and like me, I have no problem calling Trump out, calling JD Vance out, calling literally every neocon who takes money from Israel or takes money from any of these war lobbies out. It's my
Yeah.
least favorite thing. I voted for no new wars. I voted for the release of the Epstein information, and I voted for the mass deportations. And we're kind of getting none of them. The closest thing we're getting is the deportations, but they're not mass. I mean, when you look at the numbers relative to Obama, they've self-deported 1 million, which is pretty
Yep.
decent actually, and they have deported 150,000. That's not a lot compared to like Obama had like 2 million a year or something. Like Obama
Well,
was was
Well,
chugging them out.
the other problem too is that like the way that they're doing it. From what I read from Stephen Miller, he's like, I want quotas of like 3,000 people. Now you're just picking people and you're just kind of just pointing and just point and click at this point. You're not even actually going through like the process correctly. And I think that's also a huge issue. I don't think that we should be because I think you would agree on this. Like you want it done right. You want it done correctly. Like that's what happens in our country, you know. And I think
I want
that's
it done correct. I think we would disagree on what done correct means, though.
I get that.
Like for me, like my done correct would be like, are they an illegal immigrant? Yes or no? Can you prove it? Yes or no? Okay, then deport them. That's it.
Okay.
It's not even like, can
Okay.
you prove it in court? It's like, do you have the paperwork in front of you that shows with no doubt that they are an illegal immigrant? Deport them. That's my entire, like, that's what due process is for me.
Yeah, and we definitely could like debate that too and like discuss it too.
yeah.
I think having multiples of us will be good. But
No, I know you got to go
yeah.
too, so I'm not going to keep you much longer. But it was great having you discussing all this stuff. We'll definitely get back on Wednesday, talk more. We'll see if we can get John and Sydney on. I'll reach out to both. I'm sure you'll reach out to Sydney too. But
Yeah.
we'll schedule that. We'll try and do a live show. It was fun having you. I'm glad we agree on a lot of these things. If you have any closing things you want to say to the people, feel free to.
Yeah, to anybody that's in District 48 in the state of Florida, Louis Davila for flhouse.com. That is his website. If you want to ask questions, definitely, connect with him. He is also on TikTok a lot too. And, I'm going to be meeting up with him and I'll let you guys know what I think. But hey, listen, man, keep your head on a swivel, at this
Plug
at this rate.
plug your social medias in there too, because I
Yes.
can't put links in the description anymore. YouTube is being weird about that, but
all
plug them
good.
and I'll pop them on the screen.
I appreciate that. Mr. Finmore on Instagram, on TikTok, Mr. Finmore 3, Mr. Finmore on Twitch, and on YouTube, it's same thing. Mr. Finmore or Matthew Finmore, you can find me on there. Yeah, I'm putting out more stuff, whether it's silly or not. But yeah, man, I'm excited for Wednesday, and it'll be cool to have like the whole gang back together and just to talk about things.
It'll be fun. Hell yeah, man! But thank you for hopping on the show. It was a good time.
Yeah, man.